The following was recorded on April the 26th, 1971. Betty Green and George Woods are talking to Jenny Wilson, who lived in the south of England during the reign of Queen Victoria. The medium was Leslie Flint. This is an edited version of the conversation. Jenny Wilson: I had my share of trouble, but now I haven't got a care in the world. I was brought up in the country in a place called Smallford. I was one of a family of 11 children, and when we were children, we had to be up early in the morning to work in the fields to earn money. I married at 18. My husband worked on a farm ploughing. I died in childbirth with my first child when I was out in the fields. In those days, we had to work up to the very last moment, and there was no doctor, just a woman in the village. Baby and I died in a hedge. People don't know what we had to suffer in those days. George Woods: Well, how many years have passed since you died? Jenny: Oh, must be 100 years. George: What king was in reign when you passed? Jenny: Well, Queen Victoria was on the throne, and I once saw her. Betty Green: How do you bring a baby up in the spirit world? Jenny: Well, the same as you would have done on earth, except you don't have materials. It's the spirit that you're bringing up. It's not the body in the same way. Because I was young and the child was new, I was given the joy of bringing the child up as if it were almost the same as on earth, and gradually watched her grow up and play with other children of the same age and go to school. I taught her little things because I had no education. I couldn't read or write. I'd never been to school in my life, and I wasn't able to do much in that way, but I could help her with the right sort of things. She could learn from others, but she and I were together in a nice little place, a cottage, which I'd always hoped my husband and I would have, but it wasn't to be. George: Did you have a cottage on earth? Jenny: No, I had to live with his parents. I now go to all sorts of interesting places, and I've learned a great deal on this side, and I've been educated. But the funny thing is, coming here seems strange, and I can't seem to get hold of my old real self. We don't have any illness. It's wonderful. My daughter dances and loves music. Over here, they have great processions, get-togethers or pageants. They have places to go where all sorts of beautiful things happen, with music, colour, dancing. She plays in some of the ceremonies. I knew I'd never have a chance to do anything when I was on your side, because I'd never been to a theatre. The nearest thing I ever went to was near to where we lived in the town. They had a company that used to come to the town hall. That's all I'd ever seen. The nearest town was Bishop Stortford. We used to have a wagon for haymaking, and they let us have the wagon to go to the market town, and that's where I went to the town hall and saw plays. Over here, I've seen wonderful plays. Of course, I'm different now. Here's me talking to you in this way, and I can hear myself in a strange kind of way. And I'm saying to myself, now that's not you, Jenny. Not as you are now, that's as you was. It's as if I'm the old self, but I wouldn't want to stay like that, not for anything. I want to be what I am now, not like I was. I remember those days in the country. Never knew anything much from the time I was a small child, and we'd be in the country, in the fields. They were terrible days. People don't know how terrible they were for people like us. Oh, it was terrible. I come and see what goes on in your world, where things are much better for the ordinary people, but it's a frightening world with them motor cars and things. I wouldn't want to be with you now. I'm happy. Lovely house, lovely place, lovely people. I wouldn't come back for anything. I don't mind coming back just for a minute. Betty: Who helped you when you first went over? Jenny: I remember being under the hedge and knew that I was going to die. A friend had run off to get help. I was drifting away and could hear another friend trying to comfort me, but there was nothing they could do. I remember losing myself and then finding myself. I was standing in the fields and I had this baby in my arms. But I didn't understand at all that I should be standing in the middle of this field with a baby. All around me I could see miles of country, but it was not the same country that I'd been used to, but different. Deep down inside me I felt lost and had a feeling that I was in a kind of dream. There were trees, but I knew they weren't real trees, and the countryside wasn't real. There were big trees with big leaves and long branches, and were trees like you see in foreign parts. I realised I was in a strange sort of country. but nothing I'd seen before, and it wasn't real. All of a sudden I saw a procession of people dressed in beautiful garments coming up a wide road, and I was coming out of this field and I was on this road. As I was walking towards this crowd of people, something was happening to me, and gradually everything changed and the whole scene was different, and I was standing beside what looked like the sea, and yet it wasn't the sea. I'd never been to the sea, but had heard about it and saw all this great water. There were a lot of people standing and listening on the rocks. There was this beautiful man with black hair, ever so shiny, and beautiful eyes, and was talking to these people with lots of children. I thought, this is what I've heard in the church when the man read to us about Jesus. I was there with this child of mine and very worried and unsure. I didn't know where I was, what I was, or who I was. It was most peculiar, and I was thinking of what was happening, but at the same time I was thinking about myself and the hedge and my friend and the baby. It was a state where I was in neither one place or the other. I was caught up in these people that were sitting around and listening to this voice. I could hear the voice, and yet the man didn't appear to be saying anything. I could feel that I was being drawn towards him, and as I walked forward, people moved aside. There was great music, but I didn't know what it was. There was nobody playing fiddles or anything. It was as if I was hearing things that weren't being said and hearing things that weren't being played and instruments I didn't see. But it was like beautiful church music, but much better than anything I'd ever heard in our church. I could hear this music getting louder. I can hear this voice which was calling me to go forward towards the man who was sitting on this rock. The man had an olive complexion and very black eyes, and his hair was hanging to his shoulders. I felt drawn there, and as I got nearer, everything just disappeared, and I woke up in a nice room with the baby beside me, and there were people standing there smiling at me. I was in bed with the baby in my arms with people I didn't know. But all seemed so happy and kind when I was told that I'd arrived and that all was well and there was nothing to worry about anymore, that this would be my home. I would be looked after and would make up for all the unhappiness I'd known, and this would be my future place in which I'd gradually find a new self. I didn't understand, and they said, don't worry, just be patient and leave everything to us. Just close your eyes and lose yourself. Just be quiet and at peace. And when you come round, we'll tell you more about everything. But this is not the right moment. Just know that you've come home and you're safe, and so is the baby. This was my reception, and that all was well, and I wasn't to be unhappy, and that my child and I had been given a new life in the realms of happiness. This business of dying, there's nothing much to it really. It's natural, and we all fear it on your side. It's like being born again, and no one needs to worry. I'm happy, and I'm very much more advanced now.